Mingalaba Sita Murudaye What the Buddha taught Prokexoni Alangu Bienbi Joselai Bare Dinemaro What the Buddha taught ye Chp-6 Chao The doctrines of non-soul anatta sore Gouncing or Sabi Pepia Doma Pipare Not only a Yausirai Dinity a Tudushini be a Yausirangole Jesu de Marello di Pocus Gani Piobiazi Ampero Usin ye the cha Pocus Channerine Collaborate Lotara relay shire and I relay Namatoya Rin Doabi Natal Liba o Lolo Sero Opinions and Talk ne Zagapio Tariha Dana Yina Mene Lise Laushire a Jai Naton Yama Pieneluri so not Nakala Quebi Natal Yar so Arashire now tell this movement sure Pocus Chanele is in a collaborating Amyaji Lobi Twelabo Shiba Dede What the Buddha taught Saogu Pabiari How Natal my Pienere Lure so ye Lolo se Ara lady ne say Pete has a chumare now so you know is in a go on a good child Pocus the what the Buddha or Pito you know go a gole Lopua Amya Shiba Dede Dinero Konaga Pure Chp-6 go away Sabi Mar Palajaya ao. Chp-6 The Doctrines of No Soul Anatta Chao Anatta Diyar What in general is suggested by soul, self, ego, or to use the Sanskrit expression Atman is that in man there is a permanent, everlasting and absolute entity, which is the unchanging system behind the changing phenomenal world. According to some religions, each individual has such a separate soul which is created by God, and which finally after that lives eternally either in hell or heaven, its destiny depending on the judgment of its creator. According to others, it goes through many lives till it's completely purified and become finally united with God or Brahman, universal soul or Atman, from which it originally emanated. This soul or self in man is the thinker of the thoughts, feelers of sensations, and receivers of reward and punishments for all its actions, good and bad. Such a conception is called the ideas of self. What a genre is suggested by soul or self or egos, or to use the Sanskrit expression Atman. So Takata Bharama Atman lo Done Shirebono Atman lo Done Adilare Takata Atman Rabao Biolis of souls the winning no self the nga to the Atar egos or the Atar Rari do the Amya don't swing it as the Kalonic. So is that in man there is a permanent, everlasting, absolute eternity, which is the unchanging system behind the changing phenomenal world. And is a colonial resolution, and Loga G now Guima, my Biaum a sin, the pin D she needed a dead the body, no? At the body, Lucana go to my gain only as well. Eddie the boy, you know me better. So Lutia can have go there, my winning cow. The more at that or a going, I has a going Atman or Corabano. Eddie high, I'm a Biaum living and now shall. As in the pin D she needed everlasting she needed usar a usai shirebo, not Atman usasura. So according to some religion, the Chubada ye yaro, each individual has a separate soul which is created by God. So Lu de Yao Chin the Yao Chin the elo matunyire winyin kauni kwe piane de winyin kauni atiti shi jare bo lu dai ma bru a pe tha le so phaya thakhin ani ma thawara phaya thakhin ani bi phan sin tha pi de ha elo winyin kauni shi de bo no finally after that te pi de kha ma life eternally either in hell or in heaven so te pi de kha ma so tu ro ye bwa area ba lo phit twa le so ro thawara အမြဲတမ်းတချို့ဆိုထာဝရငရဲမှာရောက်သွားတယ်တချို့ဆိုရင်ထာဝရကောင်းကင်ဘုံမှာရောက်သွားတယ်ဆိုတော့အယူဆနဲ့ဘာသာရေးတွေရှိတယ်လေနော် so အဲ့ဒီ destiny ပေါ့သူတို့ရဲ့ကံကြမ္မာတွေသူတို့ဘယ်ကိုသွားမယ်ဘယ်ကိုရောက်မယ်ဆိုတဲ့ဟာတွေက judgment လုပ်တာဘယ်သူကလုပ်တာလဲဆို it creator ပေါ့သူ့ဖန်ဆင်းလိုက်တဲ့ဖန်ဆင်းရှင်ရပဲအနွေနားလေရရင်တချို့ဘာသာရေးတွေမှာလူပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တူတယောက်ချင်းစီရဲ့ချင်းစီတိုင်းမှာမတူညီတဲ့ဝိညာဉ်ကောင်းတွေရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီဝိညာဉ်ကောင်းတွေကဘုရားသခင်ကဖန်ဆင်းပေးတယ်အဲ့ဒါပြီးရင်ဘုရားသခင်ရဲ့ဆုံးဖြတ်ချက်ပေါ်ပဲမူတည်ပြီးတော့ထာဝရငရဲကိုကြာရင်ကြာသို့မဟုတ်ထာဝရကောင်းကင်ဘုံကိုရောက်ဆိုပြီးမှဖြစ်သွားတဲ့ဘာသာရေးတွေရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဆိုတော့ according to others တခြားဘာသာရေးတွေအလိုအရကြတော့ဘယ်လိုလဲဆိုတော့တခြားကိုယ်ဝယ်ယုံကြည်မှုတွေအလိုအရတော့It goes through many lives till is completely purified and become finally united with God or Brahman, universal soul or Atman, from which is originally emanated. So, the two bada yeri maro blue, a chap you warari maro blue shileto. Every winning konya, oh, lowa, dancing be my sin je dwari down. Boa miazwa, gubi ma dwala, and a woman like the boa did I the boa winning konya. ဒီခန္ဓာကနေထွက်သွားပြီးနောက်ထပ်ခန္ဓာတစ်ခုမှသွားဝင်နောက်ထပ်ခန္ဓာတစ်ခုမှသွားဝင်အဲ့လိုမျိုးဇက်တိုက်သွားဝင်နေတာပေါ့နော်အဲ့ဒီမှာသူ့ရဲ့ဝိညာဉ်ကလုံးဝတန့်စင်သွားပြီဆိုလို့ရှိရင်မူလပင်မဖြစ်တဲ့အာတမန်ဒါမှမဟုတ်ဗြဟ္မာကြီးပေါ့ဗြဟ္မာကြီးစီမှာတမို့ဖန်ဆင်းရှင်ဘုရားစီမှာတွားရောက်ပြီးမှပူပေါင်းသွားတာပေါ့သူ့ရဲ့ဝိညာဉ်နဲ့ဘုရားသခင်ရဲ့ဝိညာဉ်တမို့ဗြဟ္မာကြီးရဲ့ဝိညာဉ်နဲ့ထပ်တူဖြစ်သွားတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အယူဆလည်းရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော်ဒါတခြားဘာသာရေးအယူဆတယ်မှာဆိုတော့တချို့ကတည်ပြီးတာနဲ့တခါရယ်ပြီးသွားပြီငရဲတို့မဟုတ်နတ်ပြည်ဆိုကောင်းကင်ဘုံပေါ့နော်ထာဝရငရဲမဟုတ်ထာဝရကောင်းကင်ဘုံမှာရောက်သွားတယ်ဆိုတဲ့အယူဆရှိတယ်လို့တချို့ကကြတော့တည်ပြီးရင်လည်းမပြီးသေးဘူးအဲ့ဒီဝိညာဉ်ကောင်းကြီးကဇက်တိုက်ခန္ဓာတစ်ခုပြီးတစ်ခုကူးနေပြီးတော့နောက်ဆုံးလုံးဝတန့်စင်သွားတဲ့အခါမှဒါဗြဟ္မာကြီးတို့မို့အာတမန်တို့မို့ထာဝရဘုရားသခင်နဲ့ပြန်ပြီးမှဝိညာဉ်ချင်းပူပေါင်းသွားတယ်လို့ယူတဲ့အယူဆလည်းရှိတယ်ပေါ့နော် So this soul or self in man is the thinker or thoughts feeler or sensations and receiver or reward and punishment for all actions of good and bad အဲ့ဒီလူခန္ဓာကိုယ်တွင်းမှာရှိတဲ့ဝိညာဉ်ကောင်တို့မို့အဲ့ဒီအတ္တကောင်ကြီးကအကျဉ်းစီတွေကိုတွေးတောကြံစီတယ်ခံစားဝယ်ရာတွေကိုခံစားတယ်ကောင်းမှုမကောင်းမှုအကျိုးပြစ်တွေကိုသူကခံယူတယ်လို့ဆိုတယ်ဗောနော်အဲ့ဒီအယူဆတွေကဘာသာရေးတယ် Such a conception is called the idea or concept အဲ့ဒီအယူဝါဒကိုဘာလို့ခေါ်လဲဆိုအတ္တဝါဒလို့ခေါ်တယ်ဗောနော်နောက်ခုလုံးခုနကပထမထာဝရကောင်းကင်ဘုံရောက်တာတို့ထာဝရငရဲရောက်တာတို့ယူတဲ့ဝိညာဉ်ကောင်ယူဆလဲအတ္တဝါဒပဲအဲနောက်ထပ်ဟိုဘက်မှာသွားပြီးမှဘဝတွေကူးပြီးမှပျောက်သွားတယ်ဒီအတ္တကောင်ကြီးကပဲကောင်းတာတွေဆိုးတာတွေအကုန်လုံးသူပဲခံစားတယ်သူကပဲတွေးတောတယ်သူကပဲကြံစီတယ်ဆိုတော့အယူဆကလည်းအတ္တဝါဒပဲလို့မှတ်ရမယ် Buddhism stands unique in the history of human thought in denying the existence of such a soul, self or Atman. According to the teachings of the Buddha, the idea of self is an imaginary, false belief which has no corresponding reality, and it produces harmful thoughts of me and mine. Self is desire, craving, attachment, hatred, ill will, conceit, pride, egoism, and other defilements, impurities, and problems. It is the source of all the trouble in the world, from personal conflicts to war between nations. In short, to this flawed view can be traced all the evil in the world. So Buddhism stands unique in history of human thought in the denying the existence of such a soul, or self, or Atman. But there are a modo, any attaro, Nagauno, winning out to the Shijango. Lower Nimbe, Bodavara, the Kuria, Ludari, the mind on the cow, Dao Shoma, no? Bada Yi Saya, a Dui Korsaya, the mind on Dao Shoma. But there are allowed into Nimbe Kedawara, allowed lower Nimbe, at Dagos are Meshibu, Nazure har Meshibu, winning out are Meshibu to the how. Riga Nimbe, no? Nazure Abamalu Biolu, not to get on self sort of Meshibu. So, according to the teachings of the Buddha, the idea of the self, Eddie Etta Ayusa is imaginary. Segu Timi Usajet the devil. False belief. Mayune Ayusa, which has no corresponding reality. A mandiane low and sessemu machine, Segune Lotare, Segu tweeting Usajet, the Amayuni. Aburai Aloya, no? And Magari, it produced harmful thoughts. There are Magone a tweedy with pissy, Eddie a use hard. Paralezo, Naru, Miro, my Naharu. Sariapi, Magone, Lugodoka beam a tweedy with pissy. Selfish desires, a pissy. The go home satire, pissy. Craving, the pissy, Danari, pissy, attachment. Swelle muri pissy, hatred, ill-will, Dodari, Malo, Monda muri, Agada diari pissy, Kunsido prilo core, Manari, Tauno muri pissy, Egozilo core, Adane, Dwibima, Pidi yari pissy, and all the defilement, the charo gilida, Nijiri, impurity, Matensine, Sati, and all the Pietanari pissy problems. Is the soul for all the troubles. Do in the world, Petana bones on it. Loga she them have Petana bones on it, so mulata muhave. No muyin jawin. From personal conflicts, Boko yim pinny Petana a golden Diani Sara at Dayusani. And war between the nations, Gavama's changing city, Taijare, Pijare, Usale, Diani Lara. In short, Jinjo Abino. To this false view can be traced all evil in the world. The Gavama Magamu Hudamia Magamu Hudamia, Eddie Mayune, you are Amatwabi, a chicken yarora. Dabura Aluya, no? Two ideas are psychologically deep rooted in man: self-protection and self-preservation. For self-protection, man has created God, on whom he depends for his own protection, safety, and security, just as a child depends on its parents. For self-preservation, man has conceived the idea of an immortal soul or Atman, which will live eternally. In this ignorance, weakness, fear, and desire, man needs these two things to console himself. Hence, he clings to them deeply and fanatically. So, two ideas are psychologically deep rooted in man. Yusa naku say the word about waya Lurue Kanaguma. I'm yet to it in a sheet. Self-protection, Mimigo Gagwayan, self-preservation, Mimigo Mapiasi Dwyer, Agency Nakura, Luria Danema, Luria Sema, Dahaguma, I'm yet to it. So, for self-protection, Google Gagwe Boyan, the man has created God. Payao, Jensi Penditare, Luria, Google Gagwe Boyan. On whom he depends for his own protection. Now do it long chomu dwe to go Biambiro Mikure and then safety long chomu security dwe. Just a child depend on its parents, but Galega do ye mi bao Miko the lube, me DB money the lube, hello self protection load. And for self preservation, Google Mapiet don't draw and Palojales, man has conceived the ideas of an immortal soul or Atman. Tower Shinibare Sore at Dagon at Dazi Weebono, Atman Sore Hayu, Sigune Doria. Agency net, say good agency net, or a load horrible. You sat horrible, no? This out horrible. We shall live eternally. Tower at material shiny mess of your So, building at the war, the real tomorrow, protection to protection to Google car webo and to Piata King to Rosine to pens and having my Rosine to you, that might have it a cajaro. Eddie Piata Kimoma, Dwabi or twenty loaded, depend loaded, Dwabima, me core. And now that the rest of Gune, through good room, a piet don't dwabu and robale to Kona, Tower diminuted the Adago ya. But all my piet don't dwabu so that say good say them will be a bima, accountable be Google be a me conceive lobiane. Go be a bima, a thing to him and I loader. In his ignorant weakness, fears, and desire, he needs these two things to console himself. So do it nyan game nyan binya game atwa BNA go jawlan ni atwa edi tagori game luda ba no loba da edi luda edi luတွေကစိတ်ကူနှမျိုးဖန်ဆီးမိမှကိုနှစ်သိမ့်ပြီးနေကြတာ Hence he clinging to them deeply and fanatically. So I ran it to Ravale. I had to let me look and the youth and swim me like a taja. The Giran Kusi couldn't go Bompora Ludaria. Who she Ludaria? Duro Google Gawe Geno Google Pieton Rama Jaulo. Say Gune Piatakin drew Penzine. Penzin Piro Jaro Google a drilling and knit day. Denial, lonely, hardy, knit day. The family is in a wallet or psychology. The family is in a loner. Era Biroma. The P2P Rayu through a hole on it. Biabiba Swedwali. The Buddha's teachings does not suppose this ignorance, weakness, fears, and desire, but aims at making man enlightenment by removing and destroying them, striking earth their very root. According to Buddhism, our ideas of God and soul as false and empty. Though highly developed as theory, they are all the same extremely self-taught mental projections, grafted in an intricate metaphysical and philosophical physiology. These ideas are so deep-rooted in man and so near and dear to him that he does not wish to hear, nor that he wants to understand any teaching against them. So, the Buddha teachings does not support. This ignorant, weakness, fear, desire, but aim that making man enlightenment. Lurego nyan pinya alin punzi buyan drakaro. Buddha Bada Yuejashire Buddha Diaroria. By removing and destroying them. By opulence or kuna biore ignorant my years and muri no Athenian game muri weakness to fears or desire or erarigo. Remove lo me destroy lo black man. Peto like me pissy black man. Striking at their very root. A mechanical was no black man. According to Buddhism, Buddha Aluyaro, our ideas of God and souls are false and empty. So any Taura Piatakin use our soul build a winning gown use our mare false and empty era the game high and nick though highly developed as theory. You are not they go my point puny be mellow, they go my way a GJ be mellow, no? Develop be mellow, they are all the extremely supplemental projection. Area at the gate, no. Say good at toes on tire projection, no. Radical graph in an intricate, deep-rooted metaphysical and philosophical phraseology. Radical, Eddie Tadana Abidamari, then that's in Habidoma Radi Luria that Swellan it up as a good chance in it. No? Every Seguri in the Segu Sitan in a Tosam Jensa Talin Gazavo, no? Tado Yaleve. If you use out you are a dog, can't use area. Like I then show trippy ma, that the nigga up here, a bit of my up here, the galone in a dance in Harry. Just sick anyway. These ideas are so deep rooted in man and so near and dear to him. Eddie a user, Eddie tweetos a gujadia, Lurima a midway nebima. Alone, a Luria mien no and knitted poepinijare. That the Rojaro, he does not wish to hear. That me judge you, no, does not want to understand, knowledge you, any teaching against that. Eddie, at that you sign a sentient diary, at that you sign a sentient. Shimpia Moody to Jalam Jaju, Nalim Legion, Luria. Well, so I to say that Emma. I miss when it related. The Buddha knew this quite well. In fact, he said that his teachings was against the current, against man's selfish desire. Just 4 weeks after his enlightenment, seated under a banyan tree, he thought to himself, I have realized this truth which is deep, difficult to see, difficult to understand, comprehensible only by the wise. Men who are overpowered by passions and surrounded by mass of darkness cannot see this truth, which is against the current, which is lofty, deep, sheltered and hard to comprehend. Yes, Sophia knew this quite well. I was only to the ball about it. How dear, the real Nam news to dear. In fact, he said that these teachings were against the currents. Jamno, yes, Sophia, the Tiaro, Louis the go on scenario sent in it, Tiari, no, but he thought that Gamil Corbalilo. But he thought that means ye sang with one, sent him back here with one in the diary. Mesopia did. So that Jamano, just 4 weeks after his enlightenment, Mesopia, W. Daniel, ya bidden, labor meow aloma, one, labor meow, the road time out that halo coria, the Dada, Konaku, she did him. The road time out. Hama. I think my Mesopia body being Yema, the didn't own it. The didn't own it in a Mesopia, Balu Chile. I have realized this truth, which is deep, difficult to see, difficult to understand, comprehensible only by the wise. Pinya Shidi, the boat that went in it. Imdanale and Kakere, Dimi Muyan and Maluekure, alone needed. This are the area. Nago and DGB, no? Nago and DBPB, Miamo BBPB. Men who are overpowered by passions and surrounded by mass of darkness cannot see this truth. So, Giledari Luancho be a mountain and pong only the Lurigaro. Till they win and near a mimia de Nale and Kakere the area. The area, however, no? Dure a loose and nane. Sent out to one it, this idea will through the demon I am more fools of my. Yes, of ya. With these thoughts in his mind, the Buddha hesitated for a moment whether it would not be in vain if he tried to explain to the world the truth he had just realized. Then he compared the world to a lotus pond. In a lotus pond, there are some lotuses stay underwater. There's an earth which has risen only up to the water level. There are stay others which stand above the water and are untouched by it. In the same way, in this world, there are men at different levels of development. Some would understand the truth, so the Buddha decided to teach it. With these thoughts, any agreed in his mind to say him out, I do chance the pit their car, I do pip it now. Miss of ya in the English of my has stayed dry, Chidong Chadom pit dry, a chain dinda the Kulabo, no, canale, to him. Chidong Chadom pit dry, Chidong Chadom pit bro. The loga you, diary, Nati tired diary, Biolumia. I'll have to have a penny malabo, Elmu to a doing Dara Algani very malabo, I'll have to have a penny malabo. Lurile Nalimale movu, Goni Jaimale movu. Rayunga hollow, Algave labo, to say them a chidum charum penny. And a beamer, then he compared the world to a lotus pond. I want to do a balance to Ja I in it, Jabin is she ye I in it, Loga you shame be ma me how you like it, no? So in the lotus pond, Ja I need him, I Jabin is she ye can need him solution. There are some lotuses stay under the water. The true Jabin is solution, who ye all my she did. There's others which have risen only up to the water level. The true solution is the need Now there is the other we stand above the water and touched by it. The true job ye never material ye men of ye take in the same way, in this world, the law guy there's a man's at different levels of development. Lurile Mushira, Punchu, bones and muton, Lurile Shinijara. So some will understand the truth. So the Buddha decided to teach it. The choice in Nalen I love the Miasopia. The net Miasopia, okay, the diary home and qua to be so be a child later the day. So the near pockets go. Dinia Lima, can I yet have a home? But only answer now pockets pat 2 jalushins or the other could be Pabialu Yao Boli, no? The another wara go, Nalebu ya drabao, Nalebu lesero, but they said the moped the hour Nalebu lure. The Yomulu, assassin a pitwalo, now pat the Kuyama, pat 2 yao de kama, but they said the moped Jango, Pabiaver me, do need or dimave, Kida, Yanat Hava me. By the way, Domensia the cruise sheet about Lazaro. The pockets get together in Garni Manekima post lonely Java, no? There we met in Garni Matankin, I mean Mandy Niker recording Malola. The charge on Kisar in it, social capital. Paloma recording Malona like Malola. The Jamalo Dinima Tine, Biomer so. The yellow no jar driver, so a chain Dijane saw me penny the luri a dread. Diniani, sorry, ba the Biochamare. Okay, ba, sending a giant no majao, a chain me dimbame. Peace out.